Before I get into the video today, I'd like to apologize. I wasn't able to upload last week because I got sick, really sick. I'm currently still a mess, but I can't go 2 weeks without a video, so this one will be shorter than usual and my voice may sound like a 20-year-old smoker at certain points. Again, I'm sorry for all that. Hopefully it's not too bad. I liked Ant-Man. Sue me. I thought it was a pretty enjoyable movie. It hit a lot of the marks I judge movies on, plus, with the CGI and visuals used, I was pleasantly surprised to see that Ant-Man had been faithfully brought to the big screen. I, however, wasn't pleasantly surprised to see how Ant-Man and the Wasp was brought to the big screen. The sequel has the same director, but half the charm. The same level of humor, but half the substance. It's not a shit show, but, well, I mean, it could be worse. Ant-Man and the Wasp is directed by Peyton Reed, the same director brought on after the Edgar Wright version was scrapped for the first movie. The first Ant-Man had some laughs, some goofs, some jovial fun, and a story with substance and risks that felt dire rather than forgettable. Ant-Man and the Wasp doesn't, and that frustrates me. It has humor, jokes, a plot, good acting, intriguing characters, but it has no suspense. Everything about Ant-Man and the Wasp can be chalked up to a few key issues though, which I'll get into right now. Oh yeah, I know, it's the same thing I shit on in every movie. Wow, I sure am an original. Well, maybe it's because a lot of movies are lacking in this department. Mild plot spoilers ahead, the movie is greatly lacking in suspense, so if you don't want to hear why, skip to the timestamp on screen right now. Firstly, I'm a big fan of the character Ghost, played by Hannah John Kamen in this, and while her performance is good, her character, the adaptation, and the mechanics of her character are incredibly poor. It was disappointing, but what was more disappointing was the fact that she was the villain. Ghost can be a great antagonist, but the MCU Ghost isn't. Her goals are focused entirely on herself, which sure, on one hand that's fine, and in many cases a villain can be, but when they don't affect anyone outside of the villain and one other person who isn't fucking important, it makes for a pretty bad movie, especially when you take into account that the first movie had a feeling of global suspense. You had an actual worry. In this, you don't. It's just, oh, so the original Wasp will die to heal Ghost? Why should I give a shit? We aren't given a reason to care about Janet outside of what Hank and Hope says, and what they say isn't much. It's a very clear drop-off from the first to this one. The story is very shallow. It's very snappy, going from one thing to the next with gags here and there, missing a lot of the charm the first did. It has slow parts, same as the first, but instead of the way the first one did it, since it is an origin story, it does have a leg up, but it explained stuff without, you know, completely drying us out, just leaving us in the fucking desert. And that's what this one did. Ant-Man and the Wasp isn't a character-driven story. It is one, but it doesn't work the way one should. It doesn't give us any memorable changes from start to finish. Scott is basically the same fucking person. Hope likes Scott, but that's just, it's what? Fucking attraction? What, so they get a thumbs up for fucking sexual attraction? No. Everybody from the beginning to the end is essentially the same person with the exception of Ghost, who is no longer a fucking asshole. But that's it. We don't feel anything memorable from Ghost not being an asshole. It's just like, oh, okay. Especially the way they do it. It's not memorable in the slightest. It's just Janet puts her magic glowy fucking hands on her head, and then boom, Ghost is fucking fine. I didn't like it. I thought it was cheesy, and lots of other people didn't like it. But excluding that, because I don't like to take that in my reviews, just my own opinion, how I view the movie, how I rate it, and you know, there are ways stories do work. The story didn't fucking work. It's lopsided and it's underdeveloped. This movie is like going on a train ride from beginning to end with only a couple things worth looking out the window for, and it's very disappointing. Its lack of risk makes it boring. Its lack of a formidable villain posing a threat to anyone we care about as an audience results in one of the most lackluster Marvel plots of all time. And this thing has fucking Walton Goggins in it. Why would you waste him? Or Lawrence Fishburne for the matter? What the fuck, Marvel? This is such a fuck up of a movie. I don't even know what they're thinking. There was so much lost here. It's like the DCEU. There was so much goddamn potential, but they just don't fucking do it. They just don't fucking do it. They just leave it there. They're just like, fuck it. And I'm not happy with it. It was poorly executed. There was barely any substance. It was as vapid as if you poured a bottle of fucking water on a fucking oven. It would just go away. It's just gone. It just evaporates, and that's what this plot feels like. There was something, and then it just disappeared. Not gonna even bother with the cast in this one since I still feel like shit, and also because they're all good, and they did a good job, but Jesus fuck, nothing is memorable. With these characters, it's just a train wreck. I can't think of a single new character in this that I actually gave a shit about. I remembered all the ones from the first movie, but not in this one. I remembered some of the key ones, but for the most part, they introduced ones here and there, and they are gags, but they aren't memorable gags. The boyfriend in the first one, he was a gag. He was a gag character for the most part, you know. I remember him. I had to rack my mind to remember all the side characters, because they just weren't very well executed. Actually, matter of fact, while recording this towards the end of the video, I realized I'd completely forgot about the entire team of FBI agents, one of which was played by an actor I like. But I forgot because they didn't bother with them. They were supposed to be the suspense in this movie, but they weren't. They were just shitty FBI agents, and it was sad. So when you look at the new characters, we have Ghost, who was very underused and very poorly brought onto screen. Goliath was more relevant than Amy Schumer. Hank Pym did something, I think, and he's not a new character, he just acted different. Janet Van Dyne was just written to be Jesus. The only one who was actually interesting in this movie was fucking Hope, and she was just like the copy-paste, that's it. She has the same aloofness she had in the beginning of Ant-Man towards Scott, and then she doesn't have the aloofness at the end of the movie. It is so weird. It's literally like they copied Hope from the first movie, pasted her here, and then just, they didn't even bother with anything else really, frankly. They just were like, oh, and she's got the Wasp suit now, so that's it, I guess. Oh, wait, you're telling me this character plays out the same way and we didn't even bother to give her any more story details or anything? Nothing? No character development? No changes? Nothing? She just has long hair, that's it? Okay, great. Fantastic! Like most of what hurt this movie, the most fitting word is disappointment. Do you like slapstick comedy? Yeah, me too. But I don't like it when the only part of the movie is jokes. Some of them were good, but a lot of them weren't. I don't think it was necessary for the entire movie to have gag after gag, joke after joke, and then skimp on a plot so much. Maybe what was done here was essential to the MCU as a whole, but it's not an excuse for this dog shit that tries to hold itself up by a 5-minute scene talking about bigger being better. Yeah, that was a prominent scene in the movie that impacted the plot. I didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp. It had a myriad of errors, and while it had some good parts, most of it was marred with failures of execution and a general lack of suspense that makes most of this movie feel like you're along for the ride, but not aware of where you're going. Granted, neither is the movie. Outside of everything I've said, it does have good acting, good delivery. I did like all the scenes with Walton Goggins. I feel like they were the best ones outside of the CGI scenes, as they, same as the first, are a beautiful testament to modern CGI. So, for those of you that are going to go off on me for not talking about the good, there is good. But my throat hurts a lot. I have to talk like this. I'm not happy. It's as if I deep-throated Satan's throbbing cock, so I didn't really feel like talking about all of it like I normally do. The movie isn't total dog shit, far from it. It's B grade for Marvel, and I would definitely rank it in their top 5 worst, but most people will get something worthwhile out of it. And it does have the best post-credit scene of all time, but it's overall severely flawed. I give it a 6. If you're interested in sort of wasting your money, go see Ant-Man and the Wasp this weekend. And if you want to know everything about the Avengers sequel next year, make sure to watch the post-credits scene. So yeah, that's it. Sorry if this video was a bit more negative than all the others. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and comment what you thought and what stuff you'd like to see me talk about next. Make sure to subscribe to see more content like this in the future and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications. And it's summertime, so like any good YouTuber, I'm going to show myself out because it works for Logan and Jake Paul, so why not hop on that bandwagon? Please check out my merch. It's good, and it helps support the channel a lot. I personally recommend the premium tee option. It's as comfortable as walking on a cloud, or wearing a cloud, I guess. Whatever, they're very comfortable. And if t-shirts aren't your thing, don't worry, we've got sweatshirts, hoodies, mugs, and plenty more. The link for that and everything else you'd need is in the description below. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. If you'd like to have your art featured in a video, draw me or one of my wondrous characters, such as the majestic Chad the Sad, and tweet it at Tahukan TV on Twitter. Huge thank you to Patreon supporters Anonymous and Matt Porter. I really appreciate it.